Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Sure. You know, you look kind of familiar.
Yeah, you do too. I just wanted to know, do you know a podcast named The Podcast Is Mine?
Oh, I know that podcast.
I just wanted to let you know that it's mine.
No, it's mine.
Hello and welcome to The Podcast Is Mine. I'm Sunny Gruel.
And I'm Bhushan Kumar.
Bhushan, I'm already excited for today's episode, and particularly because I want to know what Destiny's Child song is going to be the theme.
For today, well, do you know, you won't be surprised to hear that it's already trending on Twitter. People have we haven't even done the episode yet, and people are already tweeting, this is what it's going to be.
Preemptive.
Exactly. It's like, hold your horses, bitches. Yeah. We decide that,
Thou
not
should
you.
be patient.
Exactly. Thou shall not tweet. So today's song choice is going to be So Good.
It's so good.
It's so good. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing my fine. Which you rightly opined was about Brexit, which no one saw coming.
I forgot about that. That was amazing.
I love that link that I can't listen to that song now anymore without thinking, oh my God, this is the Britain talking to the EU saying we're doing mighty fine, but then actually with all the shortages and things going on at the moment,
now we are definitely not.
We are so not mine. Now it's the EU like who rebutted, sending it. They've remixed it and sent it back to us.
This is the reverse diss track, isn't it?
But there's no trucks to bring it back.
Oh my God.
Well, anyway, I think, do you know what will always be in our lives? It's the secret diary of a Zone 1 host. So let's open her up.
We do. Let's open her up. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
And you opening up that tab?
Yeah, we are. And today we are talking about self-help.
Oh.
Is it helpful or harmful? Bhushan, what are your thoughts?
So I think it depends on the person. I think sometimes it can be incredibly helpful. So, you know, in our previous episodes, I've always spoken about Cal Newport, who's an academic who, you know, deep work. We love a bit of deep work.
We do indeed.
So good they can't ignore you. Digital minimalism, and his latest, A World Without Email, which I'm about to read, which I'm really... basically, he argues...
What is he proposing?
Well, basically, he's saying that emails are a waste of time and that some people's jobs are just replying to emails. There's not actually any...
That is my job.
And it's true, but then it takes you away from your actual work. And if you didn't have to... You know, there was a time before emails where people got the job done. You know, you'd pick up the phone and you'd just do your work or you'd see people. So, you know, that... I mean, I need to read the book, but that's what it said on the blurb.
No, I'm excited for that.
But with regards to the self-help element, the deep work has definitely changed how I approach work. And that's perhaps an example of how self-help can be really good. But if you remember, do you remember Gillian McKeith? Now, I don't know if you remember, she used to be this, she's a Scottish lady who, she used to be called Dr. Gillian McKeith.
Sorry, I'm not doing any expressions that are visible over a sound, but yeah.
She's Dr. Gillian, she used to be called Dr. Gillian McKeith, and she used to have a Channel 4 program, You Are What You Eat.
Yes,
and she used to look at people's poo. Do you remember?
She wasn't a doctor though. She kept telling people she was a doctor, and they were like, I'm sure that university was like, stop telling people you're a doctor, you're not.
She was like a Facebook doctor before that was a thing, honestly.
No.
Like she'd got some online diploma, exactly. And then she'd look at your poo and be like, oh, you... But thing was, like, even though some of the stuff she said was really clever, like, you know, she did say, like, how sugar and Coca-Cola was the worst thing for you.
And keto is a huge thing now.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, that whole idea of kind of, like, resetting your digestive system, it was useful, but she obviously wasn't coming from a qualified place, and she didn't, you know, her advice was actually quite dangerous.
Oh, no.
So in that respect, but then she launched, I remember she has this book. We still have that cookbook, and there's loads of advice in there. And if we take that advice now, if you view it like, you know, it says stuff like, you know, starve yourself for this long and then eat it. And
but that is a thing that a lot of people do. That is keto as well, isn't it? The
keto.
What is it called that you have to do?
Is it fast famine?
Yeah, something like that.
No, fast famine, same thing. I mean, no, feast famine.
Feast famine, yeah, because you have an 18-hour gap.
Yeah. That's
right, isn't it? Because then you eat a dinner and then you don't eat again until the following lunchtime.
Yes, or is that intermittent fasting? Because there's one where intermittent, isn't it? So you eat at the time that's most suited to you. So, for example, it might be from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
And that's it. And then you don't eat again till the following day.
Exactly. And I think these kind of things now, especially in the digital era, like, you know, where you can go on, even TikTok has got so many experts, like skincare experts and hair experts and, you know, dietitians and, you know, kind of exercise stuff as well. Because the exercise stuff thing is another thing. Like, you know, I'm sure we've all done a YouTube video and popped our backs out.
Oh, God. Or used it to fix. So that's funny, because the other day I didn't tell you, I had a bit of a like funny tan. I was like, oh my God, I don't feel great. So what can I do? Like, and when I start to feel a little bit like that, I get anxious. So I thought, what can help with this? I did a yoga to calm for anxiety.
Oh, okay.
And that is self-help as well. I didn't even think about it until you said, exercise is a form of self-help. It is.
It absolutely is. And that's what I mean. But I think you're responsible about it, and you've done yoga under supervision enough times to know I can only go that far. Exactly.
You're alone in my house.
You're Nicole Scherzinger in React. Pussycat
I
videos,
choreographed that video.
I thought it looked familiar.
It was me. I was her body double.
It's so funny. I was rewatching that video because there's that scene that you.
We rewatched that video on mine
on the 4K TV. Remember, I was like, I want to watch it on 4K. But there's a bit. You remember that bit that you talk about where she kind of gives it that extra twerk at the end
on the chair. Sorry, yeah.
No, just that scene before. Do you remember when you said like, what's that about? When she gives it a double.
Oh my gosh, she really flashes all of her crotch basically straight at the camera.
But the other girls do too.
No, they do, but she just does it with.
But it's like Nicole, because it's the Nicole Scherzinger show. You have to look at her crotch. Nobody else is.
It's just like, oh my goodness, it was a lot. It was a lot. But no, I agree. I think it's, if you are doing it to supplement something that is already quite structured and you've got some experience in it, yes, it's probably good. But then to solely do it based on, without any kind of guidance from an expert, I think it would need to be a very clear set of instructions. Like a book is different, isn't it, to just going on YouTube and expecting it to solve your life problem.
Absolutely. And like I think the other thing with like a YouTube video is you get to see it in front of you. So sometimes that's really helpful because you're like, oh right, that's what it's meant to look like, or that's what I'm meant to be doing. But at the same time, it can be misleading because it might be from one angle. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe I should have done my downward dog in a different way. Or maybe
what kind of self-help is this? Is this an OnlyFans lounge? Wait a minute, this is a little bit early.
Oops, oh my God, we've gone straight to the
You've gone straight to the OnlyFans lounge. We haven't done the clink yet.
Because the other thing is, like, what a lot of people don't know about the OnlyFans is it smells amazing in there. I don't know what diffuser they use, but it always smells so good, doesn't it? Yeah. Like the Secret Diary.
It's the diffuser that was gifted to me from one of our OnlyFans. One of our podcast is mine fans, Lucy.
Oh really? Oh, thank you, Lucy. Well, if she could gift one for the Secret Diary of a Zone 1 Ho, because the Secret Diary of a Zone 1 Ho needs some fragrance.
But, God. Anyway, we're going to get on to the main episode today, aren't we?
Yes, we are. So let's close that tab. And then take it to the bridge.
Now, you may have heard of or even swear by the Myers-Briggs Indicator, but what exactly is it? The exact definition is an introspective self-report questionnaire indicating differing psychological preferences in how people perceive the world and make decisions. The test attempts to assign 4 categories: introversion and extroversion, sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving. 1 letter from each category is taken to produce a 4-letter test result. No one should be surprised that our collective 4-letter test result was ZOHO.
Represent.
Zoho, aka Zone 1 Ho. But is this really a valid personality reader or just an outdated and irrelevant practice?
Wow, that's the question, isn't it? Well, Sandy, let's start with you. How did the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator... Sorry, let's say the full thing. So it's MBTI, trying to take on ANTM,
we do, to save us having to keep saying that in full.
MBTI. So how did that come into your life?
I first heard about it at a dinner actually with some friends who were all talking about, which Myers-Briggs Indicator are you? And I was like, what is this? And then we all got our phones out, we all did the test, and it was exciting to kind of just categorize ourselves and compare. That was the thing that I found really exciting because it just gave you a little bit of insight into why people behave certain ways. And I think a lot of it was very logical. So when mine came out, when I looked at my result, it was, I'm happy to announce it. I don't think it's going to be a surprise to people. I'm an ENFP.
No way.
No.
Like, no way, man.
Which is the best one.
Which one's that again? Shady Queen.
I didn't need to do a test to get validated to be a shady queen. I think that was just assigned to me on birth. So ENFP is the aka the campaigner, is enthusiastic, creative, and sociable. So I was just like, yeah, that's me. But then the best thing about it is when you read, so that's all the strengths, that's the charming part. Then you read the weaknesses, and it was just like poor practical skills, difficulty in focusing, very critical of themselves. And I just thought, oh God. But the thing is, all of these things really resonated, and I thought, actually, I am already aware of some of those shortcomings in my personality. So then you just do things to address that, to kind of help you kind of maneuver in certain situations, because obviously as we are incredible zone 1 hoes. We have to like maneuver in the professional environments, and you can't get by ignoring some of those things that you need to, I suppose, develop and work on. So I was already conscious of it, but until I started really examining what some of my points of area to focus on were. I didn't put dedicated energy behind trying to kind of find ways to get around it. So with the practical skills, I know I need to kind of sometimes couple up with someone that is a little bit more, probably not as creative as me, to help make progress on things at work, because that practical stuff I don't find energizing. It's like I have to do it in a personal sense when I'm going on holidays or buying my flat or the mortgage, all that stuff. I can definitely do it, but it doesn't excite me and energize me. So I know I have to kind of allocate now on when I'm doing jobs at work to the people that are more appropriately skilled for it, and then I get to do all the fun, exciting stuff.
But do you think that without the MBTI that you would not have done that naturally? Do you think it's something that was directly as a result of taking this personality quiz, or do you think it's something that, knowing what you know now, you would have organically come to?
That's a really good question, and I feel like, yes, to an extent, we all have some sense of awareness of what our development areas are, because it comes through in our conversations, discussions. Like a lot of our friends would poke fun at one another for different shortcomings, and it comes through in your feedback at work and all that kind of stuff. But I think being able to identify it through something that feels a little bit more it feels less personal. It's more impersonal when you're told it through a questionnaire, rather than someone that is maybe you feel like they may have an ulterior motive. They may be just being a shady queen, or there may be someone at work that's trying to maybe sideline you, and you don't trust the opinion. So at least when it comes through from something on a questionnaire, you think, okay, yes, it doesn't have to necessarily be perfectly applied to my personality, but generally the indicators are, if I'm going to take all the nice things from it, then maybe I need to be a little bit more attentive to the things that are my development areas. So I actually think it helped me trust it more.
Okay, so you saw it as impartial and kind of really, like you said, it gave you that direction to say, okay, like you said, like, these practical tasks which you find easier to kind of outsource, and then that allows you to get on
to basically not be responsible
for. But then at the same time, that then allows you to focus on what you're good at, and then you can really forge ahead with that, in that respect.
Because isn't that what a team is as well? Because the strength of a team is made up of different traits. And you can go, and that's why I think it's really helpful to work in a group where you're not the same, because you'll bring different perspectives. And yes, I'm not saying that all the people that are very good at practical skills, and that's a natural a talent, that they should only do that. We all have to take responsibility for those things. But if you understand what your natural strengths are, then at least you know how to make the most of yourself when you're in a situation that is high pressured. When I'm under a lot of pressure, I don't want to be the one that's organizing everything, because I know that is going to I'm going to be very inefficient. That's when you have to decide, actually, in this situation, I'm going to make sure that someone else does this. But in situations where actually you're not under pressure, then you need to make sure you're sharing that workload. And that's what I've tried to use now to kind of adjust how I operate. And I'm talking about it in a work perspective, but actually even in a personal perspective, like I talked about the example of going on holidays. When I am going on holiday with someone, yes, naturally I would probably want to have someone else do some of the other practical organizing side, but I realized, no, it's nice for me to do that, because then I get a bit of a say in what I want to do on holiday as well when I'm going with someone else.
Absolutely. Wow.
But yes, what about you, Bhushan? Tell me about, how did the MBTI come into your life?
So obviously I've got a story. There's always a story. First of all, though, can you guess what type I am?
Oh, yes, I wanted to do this.
So I'm not going to tell you what I am, but
I mean, okay, so will I go through what I think might be some of your strengths? So you're super practical, you're sociable, you're poetic, you're kind.
Supermodel.
You're a supermodel, you're fashionable, you're reliable. Oh my goodness, you're a Soho.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I'm off the chart.
I think, just having a quick jump out, I feel like you're the entertainer.
So you are partially correct.
Yes, so that you're an ES. Is that
I'm
correct?
I'm a PIMP.
You are PIM. So is
Motherfucker.
ES right?
So actually, let me
You
tell
go.
you. So ESFP is right. So I've taken this quiz twice, and I've had two different results.
God, multiple personalities.
Exactly, which is so much
Which is
inside of
fine.
me.
We're happy
But
with that.
so ESFP, you're correct, was one of the quizzes. But then it also, the first quiz I took put me as something else. Can you imagine? Can you think what that could be?
I think you might be borderline with. I feel like it might be something quite different. So we have a quick scan. Maybe an INTP, the logician.
Yeah, was it? And it was INFP. So I'm apparently, and it's funny you said poetic, because poetic is one of the qualities of INFP.
Really close on the grid.
Yeah. So it's really weird that the first time I took the test, that's what it came up as, and then the second time it called me an entertainer, and I was like, okay. So the MBTI came into my life. I was actually leaving a job at this point for a well-known broadcaster, and just had to get that in there.
That shall not be named.
And I remember, like, the manager was kind of like, she had organised this. Basically, it'd been one of those things that, you know, like in the corporate kind of game, you know, when there's like takeovers of departments and it's all really awkward and stuff like that. So it was in that kind of day, like a great empire had just fallen and a new empire was rising. And I wasn't leaving for that reason. I was leaving for something totally different. And this manager, who I didn't really like, she was kind of, I've organised the MBTI day and you should come to it. And it was like, I only had like 3 more days left. And I was like, I ain't going to waste my time coming to this now. It's like, you know, I don't need to. I was like, I'd rather sit in the office and go for a long lunch with a leaving lunch rather than go to see it. So I've always kind of regarded it with a degree of cynicism. That's the first time I came across it, and I always associated it with that person.
Yeah.
So I was kind of very, like, I kept a distance from it, because I was like, if that bitch likes it, I'm not going to certainly like it. But I've been intrigued, because I've always seen, like, you know, sometimes on people in their Twitter bios or on their dating profiles, they will put down these 4 letters, and I'll be like, when I realised it wasn't a drugs reference.
That's I always question things like that.
Apparently that's what 420 friendly is, which I didn't know.
Weed. No, weed. Do you know why it's called 420?
No, why?
Because how did I find this out? But it's on the police scanners. You know, when they do the announcements.
Oh.
So it's a 420
is a code
in the US is a cannabis.
Oh, right, okay.
Call for cannabis. Yeah.
That also reminds me of, like, a bit of an OnlyFans story. I remember, like, how someone used to put diamonds on their profile.
I think
because
I told you.
Oh, did you tell me this? And yeah, so that's an OnlyFans story. But
that is an OnlyFans related to Hand Garden, isn't it? Well, we will be moving swiftly.
Let's move swiftly back to the game. So I kind of looked into this, and I just thought to myself, for me, that's kind of where I came across it. And then I would see these letters, and I was like, how does this work out, and what does it mean? But to be honest, and controversially, in the first time in the history of The Podcast Is Mine, I disagree with you. Like, this is completely not for me. In this,
really?
yeah,
That's nice to hear different opinions.
Yeah, exactly. That's right, bitch. You weren't ready for that. No, I didn't mean like that. So I found it very, you know, the idea that it categorizes people into like 16 categories. If you think about how many people there are in the world, and like we all fall into 16 categories. I took the test twice and I didn't get the same result, which I thought was really, really interesting. I found the questions were very closed, and like it resonated when you said, like, you know, that this is there's a very definitive answer from this. Like, there's no kind of grey area, and I can understand why in a corporate setting that works really, really well.
It's unhealthy as well.
It's unhealthy, but I find it really, really binary, and I find it's not intersectional, because the fact is you could be an extrovert and an introvert at the same time. Yeah. And like, if you think of, like, for example, actors, some actors on screen will be amazing, you know, they'll be totally alive. And the minute the camera calls cut, they completely switch off and they're very private and they're not as open. And also I just found I think it seems really, it's very kind of clinical. And like, in the one way, I think that's a good thing, because it's scientific and it's technical, and like you said, you're assured of a result. And I can imagine, like, for like in a corporate setting with like HR and other people, or if there's like a manager who doesn't, and like I'm thinking back to that particular manager who didn't understand how to manage people and like understand how to work with emotions and things like that. Doing something like this is actually a great exercise, and also it's like liability free, because like you can then work out that, look, this person is an extrovert who loves doing this and that, and then like you said, like you rightly said, like you can play to your strengths, because you can be like, this person loves presenting, this person loves going out there and meeting other teams, this other person loves doing an Excel spreadsheet and loves doing admin and diary management. So why not put the person who does the diary management in Excel in the back office and put the person who wants to go out onto the road in the field out there? In that respect, it's good. But overall, like, you're going to laugh at this, but I've got to say it. I think for me, I prefer horoscopes.
Oh my God.
I think horoscopes are
do.
You know, I'm always telling you about moons and planets and things like that. But
Mooning people.
it was one time and they paid for it, okay? That's what's keeping us sitting. That's what's keeping the lights on in the TPIM studio. But yeah, I find kind of like horoscopes, because for me, horoscopes are more intersectional and they take account of more instances. Because the other thing as well is I think that the MBTI definitely worked at a certain point in time. And I think in, like, you know, in a certain time in society, it was a great thing and it was very revolutionary, because it's like, wow, like, what category do I fall under? And it was very much that time where you stuck to one thing, or you were only, you know, you could only see yourself as you know, if you were going to be a creative, you had to be a creative. And if you weren't a creative, you weren't. But thinking of today, where we've got so much knowledge on our hands, we're living in the digital age, it's a different kind of environment. So I don't know how relevant the MBTI is for today's age. So, and that's why I will not be funding it. Dragon's Den. So for that reason, thanks a lot. I'm out.
I love that. You know what? I completely understand where you're coming from. And I suppose what I've almost taken is the essence of what it's trying to do to categorize. Because I agree with you that you can't completely categorize the entire population into these very small buckets.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did find interesting is when we did it at that dinner table, of the, I think there was probably 8 of us, most of the people that fell into those categories had traits that very clearly put them into those buckets. And there's so me and Eleanor fell into the same one. Now, it made sense because we relate on a lot of similar levels. And it doesn't mean that like you can't relate. You definitely relate to me on a lot of those levels as well. But it just felt very similar in how we think.
Yes.
And that it had categorized it. And I think that's probably because we would answer the questions in the same way, which obviously gives you the same result. And I've done it a few times, and thankfully for me, I don't want to change mine. I'm like, I want to stay ENFP. And I like mine, but I do think that it can be a little bit problematic in the workplace. And we never did it in a formal way.
Yeah.
And it was suggested to someone once to maybe do this in the team to help us identify it. But I think it's quite, I don't know, it could be really dangerous, because it could help kind of enable some kind of discrimination of certain personality types. Because I'm sure, you know, if you highlight a lot of, you know, shortcomings with certain personality types, you might be like, oh, then I don't want to work with that type of person. Or someone who is, you know, quite outgoing, they may say, well, I only want to work with people that are similar to me. And that's not what we want. We want people to be diverse in the way that we deliver projects or work on clients. And I think it's just nice to have that as a bit of an insight into how someone may perform in any situation, but it's not definitive at all. Yeah. Because like I said, I think in a lot of situations, I'm more than capable of being the practical person. It's just not what I want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, I think you're a good example of someone who, it kind of relates to what we were talking about, self-help. Like, you've taken it in the right spirit. So you're not defined by it, like, you know, but at the same time, like you said, there's a lot of traits that resonate with you. And like, this is something that you can relate to. And like, you've taken it and you've said, right, look, this is something that I need to work on. And, you know, you're more conscious now that you've got to work with it. And like you said, you're aware of your ability that, you know, if you need to, your verse.
Oh, God.
You could do it if you needed to. Add a push. So you knew how to take it there. You had, like, TPIM fans would complain if you didn't take it there, honestly.
No, but I completely understand what I think it is novel to me. I think it's interesting. I definitely don't live and die by it. And I don't feel as though I'm not capable of exhibiting traits that are strengths in the other categories as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. It doesn't feel like it holds me back to think I can't do something.
No, exactly. But I think also at the same time, like you said, that it could kind of enable discrimination, and it definitely supports discrimination. So
I discriminate a lot of my friends once I forget about it. It's most misgivings.
You're like, who's this? A basic bitch? Yeah, no, not a friend of mine. You're a BB? No, out the door. But do you think, like, how would it be modernized? Like, because, you know, when I was reading up about it, I saw even like Carl Jung, like, you know, the great philosopher, I hope I said his name right. He was like, even he admitted it was flawed. He, you know, and I think like in terms of like if they were to update it, or if they were to, so obviously Zoho would be the 17th category,
The best
duh,
one.
and everyone would then want to be a Zoho.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
well, we are honorary Zoho.
We are. Well, we're the first. Hello.
We are.
Like if Carl Jung met us, he would have been like, "Yeah, these two. Honestly, you want to be like them. You want to dress like them. You want to know what they makeup they wear. You want to know what they eat. You want to know where they work out. You want to know where they party." Lenithia's Lounge, if anyone's asking.
I love it. Lenithia.
Nini's Lounge.
No, but I think it's a good question, because I've heard a lot of criticism about the scale and how, a lot of people debunk it and say it doesn't work and it's impossible. But modernizing it, I almost feel like, again, you would get some other bias coming in, wouldn't you, in some way? And I think, it would probably just eventually fade out, perhaps. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do we need it? It feels like a novel thing to me.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what as a key Bhushan phrase coming up? Yeah. Get ready to take a sip of water. You've hit the nail on the head. We need a sound effect for that, like a hammer hitting a nail on a head. I think that's it. I think it's a fun thing to do, and I think if you take it in the right spirit. So like if I wasn't so dour and ready to bring the pine. No, but I mean like in the sense that like I understand that like it's a fun thing. Yeah. And I like that approach that you've got to it. And I think if it's kind of brought in with that approach, like, it's a fun thing that you do on the internet. It's like a BuzzFeed quiz or something. Yeah. And you realize that actually, this is how it could help me, but it won't hinder you. Then yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah. But I think the way it's been used, like historically, perhaps, is like you said, like where it can, I can just see lazy managers just being like, oh, well, this person's this person's that, or it's just
they're not capable of change or being aware of how to use that information to their advantage.
Yes, exactly that. And I think then that enables them to be mediocre, which in turn keeps people, there's a lot of personal stuff coming up.
It's true, Bhushan. I mean, it's our experiences, isn't it, sometimes?
But then by the same token, I can see how, like, if I was like to say, right, I'm going to discriminate on horoscopes and say, right, this person is a Gemini, this person is a blah, blah. I'm a Gemini, FYI. But, if I say, oh, this person is this star sign, this person is this star sign, I don't, subscribe to it.
Maybe it is more accurate. If you're a Gemini, which I can't believe I forgot, then no wonder you had to resolve.
Exactly.
Isn't that completely accurate then?
It's too fair. But it's funny because the MBTI has kind of got this kind of scientific exterior,
Really?
But
that's the research.
That's the research.
Yeah.
You expect it's backed by empirical data and it's got facts and figures but then at the same time, so is astrology as well. Because it's guided by synchronicity.
Okay.
So this whole idea that the moon exerts a gravitational pull.
Which is definitely true.
Which is definitely true. The moon controls water, so we have high tide and low tide. Yeah. So human beings are made up of water. So therefore, it stands to reason that the moon's gravitational pull affects us as humans in some way or another. And then the planets as well, are all assigned different kind of horoscopes or whatever. The planetary position exerts a certain gravitational pull, which in turn affects our behavior. And so it's strange because when I was reading through the MBTI stuff, I was thinking to myself, actually, there's a lot of parallels with horoscopes, but for me, the horoscopes were more intersectional and emotional. But also, I think as well, and I don't know, I might be wrong about this, because I've been talking about the binary. I do feel like the MBTI has a really masculine energy to it.
Interesting.
I don't know if you get a mask feel for it.
I mean, I don't see mask or femme. I just see mascara. I didn't think about that.
Do you know what I mean? I feel in the sense that, because it's very, like I said, it's kind of do you remember those adventure books when we were younger where you
Choose Your Own Adventure?
No, but do you remember you'd read it and it'd be turn to page 100 and then oh, you fell down a hole or something, start again.
Yeah.
I feel that the MBTI has that kind of experience to it.
Leading you.
So it leads you to that, you will reach a conclusion whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You will answer those questions and say, yeah, I disagree with that statement, or I agree with that statement, or I slightly agree, or I'm neutral or something. But wherever you place yourself, you will land up somewhere. Whereas with and that's the kind of scientific element of it, isn't it? That there's always an answer. Yeah. There's always a fix. Whereas I think when you're dealing with emotions and you're doing it kind of freestyle, or you're not prescribing to anything, you don't know, you may not get an answer. And
isn't it interesting that I picked probably both of the answers that you could have got nearly spot on?
That is true. See, that's what I mean. There is some sort of alchemy to it. So you can't, I can't entirely dismiss it.
I read you.
Yeah, you. You read, you bitch. Because reading is what? Fundamental. See, our Drag Race fans will know what I'm talking about. You don't watch Drag Race.
So,
you don't
no,
know.
I caught up to season 6 last year, remember?
Oh, wow.
I know.
We're on season 13. It's season 13's already finished. I know.
We're on season 13 of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Okay. You know that's my...
You know what? Look at you.
Just wait till I get Hey You. Hey You, if you're listening, please could you give me a free subscription? Sponsor us. Exactly. So then I could watch all of these and then he won't be able to say that to me.
Oh, God. No, but while we're talking about this, you know what it's also reminded me of, and we've talked about this quite a lot, haven't we, in the last kind of probably year or so, is how I've been learning more about the power of the subconscious mind.
Yes.
In the whole bucket and umbrella of self-help.
Yes.
And it was a lot to do with attachment theory, which again, I know what you mean by in terms of it's very binary. It puts you into 4 categories, and you know, just to give you an overview, so that's helping categorize people into different buckets depending on how they interact with people in relationships, particularly romantic relationships. And I think it puts half of the population into secure, so they're pretty good at communicating with, you know, their loved ones, and then the other half of the population is like split into 3. So there's insecure and these are 3 insecure attachment styles, and one is like dismissive, so they don't tend to really connect with their emotions because of some trauma they've been through in their childhood, so they find it very difficult to be vulnerable. And then you've got another type which is called anxious attachment style, which is you validate yourself and you need to have your needs met from other people. And there's another one called disorganized attachment, which is like you flip between the 2. And I think that kind of stuff I find a little bit more interesting because it is a bit more nuanced and there's more like emotion invested in it. And that, again, has really helped me just identify, because what I used to do with a lot of these things is I'm nosy. Yeah. I want to know what someone else is to help me work out how to maneuver with them better. Because, you know, we're people pleasers. You know, most people are, but me in particular, I always think, how can I be more effective at communicating with that type of personality? Or how can I not personalize something that they do? Because that's just how they move. But then what I've started to do less now is stop focusing on the other person, put the mirror in your face, and what are you doing that you can change about yourself? Yeah. And that's what I've really done with attachment theory, and it's made me stand back so many times and think, actually, why, instead of wondering and worrying about what someone else is doing, what am I doing, and how can I either change my viewpoint, do something differently, and or just change the meaning I'm giving to things, because it's all about the subconscious mind. And we, you know, apparently the subconscious mind is what I don't know why this didn't seem obvious to me. It is way more powerful than the conscious mind. Yes. So you have to, and the only way to retrain your subconscious mind is through repetition and imagery and emotion. You can't just do it by saying to yourself, I am confident, by looking in the mirror and saying that. It needs to have some sort of emotion and imagery attached to it to feel real. Yes. So there's this amazing YouTuber that I've been following, and she's incredible. We have to link it. Yeah. And she's got a brilliant school all about it, and I feel like this is one of the things that I feel like I need to sign up to kind of get more in-depth support on, because it is self-help when I watch the YouTubes, but it's just a taster and a teaser. But sometimes you do need to sit down and do some hard work on this stuff. Yeah. And I really want to do more work on this in terms of reprogramming my subconscious mind on a lot of things that we've kind of ingrained in ourselves since childhood. Yeah. And I almost feel like the older we get, the harder it's going to be to undo this stuff. I'm not saying that I want to change who I am in my personality, but it's just to reframe your approach to be able to maneuver in life in a way that you don't stress about the small stuff in the same way as you used to. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point, that, you know, these kind of things like an MBTI can be a real good springboard into that kind of personal growth, and like finding out ways where you can, it kind of comes back to that, because you're right, it's not just in the corporate setting, it's in real life as well, that sometimes you might think, oh, I'm not as assertive as I want to be, or I'm not as open as I want to be. And that's a real kind of, you know, this might help you think, okay, well, this is a way that I can be more assertive or more open, or like you said, reprogram unconscious biases. And that's something, we really kind of like have spoken about a lot, and it's definitely not only in our lives, but in everybody's lives. I think that, you know, where it's funny now, because when I see like my friends with their kids,
and like the way they speak to their kids. Like I'm not really around children a lot. The Asbo won't let me. No, I'm joking. joke. That's a joke for the benefit of the time. But no, I mean, like I the other day, like a friend's 6-year-old son, I was like, hello, how are you? And then I just didn't know what to say to him, because I was just like, I don't
How
really
to communicate with the child.
to communicate with the child. And I think it's kind of I don't know why I even brought that up. I just why did I bring that up? I had a point. I had something to tie it to MBTI. I can't remember what it was now. I think it was just that was what it was. It was my kind of subconscious was dictating that conversation, because it was like when I was younger, that's all the uncles and aunties or people would ask me. They would only ask me.
They didn't want to engage.
And I remember as a child being like, so, and I remember as I asked it, I just thought, if I was 6 years old and someone, I'd be like, fuck off, I don't know who's this weird man asking me this. But now now I realize that like these are all kind of, so you're right, that kind of reprogramming.
It's because of your experience. You're projecting that onto, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. And in that respect, if it is like a habit that's not it's a negative habit, or it's something that doesn't benefit you in the long run, then yeah, absolutely, you want to reprogram that. And if you can use MBTI as that springboard, then go for it, girl. That is really good. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people, and what you've got to be careful with is not always constantly feeling like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I'm putting a lot of pressure on yourself with these things, because it is taking it with a pinch of salt to not kind of burden yourself with constantly having to not feel like you're doing enough, basically. I think that can be quite draining. So I think it's kind of trying to find a way to measure it and kind of split it out over a course of a period of time, rather than expecting yourself to be a finished result after the end of a course.
Well, exactly that. It's an organic process. It's a journey. That journey doesn't have an end. Like there isn't going to be a point where you're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm done. This is the result I got.
Complete.
Like, there's only 16 outcomes and I've reached all of them. That's great. It's not like that. It's going to be continuous, and it's, you may regress at some point, and you may then suddenly surge forward. It happens. So it's it's a strange. That's life as well, isn't it? That's the dichotomy of life, I think. Girl, we are getting so deep. Can we get back in the shallow? Because that is we are so. Oh my god,
drowning.
We
in
are
subconscious
redefining philosophy. We should call it the philosophy is mine. Honestly. My goodness me. Well, do you know what I think? You know what we should do? As usual, it wouldn't be TPIM and we wouldn't be South Asian if I didn't quiz you.
I love a quiz.
So I've prepared a pop quiz.
You always do the best quizzes.
Every time I reach into my Hermes Birkin, my Hermes Birkin, I've always got a quiz ready for you.
You do.
So I thought what we would do for this quiz is I'm just going to shout out. No, I'm not going to shout because you're all listening. So I will my sultry vocals.
Bhushan, I think we should have followed that advice of not shouting. Maybe when it's the first time recording.
I know.
Blowing everyone's eardrums out.
Oh my god, we were in a park. If we didn't shout, there wouldn't be no podcast. See, that's the journey. That's the journey, girl. So I'm going to say the names of celebrities.
Don't start with Ellen DeGeneres.
I said celebrities, not cancelled. The cancelled list is not. But what I want you to do is to tell me what if you think you're so hot, you better show me what you got. To quote Madonna speaking to Britney. Oh my god, so I'm Madonna, you're Britney. Hey Brit, hey Sonny, can you show me what you do? Lose control. I can't even say. I'm so old now, I can't even remember the words. But so if you think you're so hot, and you can guess my thingies correctly. Oh God, can you guess these celebrities? Now you've got 5 seconds to answer each one, just to add the pressure. Because like you said,
Can we just edit it so it sounds like I've had 5 seconds?
No. And like you said, that under pressure, like you really.
I'm not good.
Exactly. So this is a great chance to.
Oh no.
Exactly. Get your MBTI out now, girl. No. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the name of the celebrity, and within 5 seconds, I want you to tell me what you think they are in terms of like, are they
which personality?
Which personality type? So can you quickly read out the 16 personality types?
That's a good idea. Yeah. So we have INTJ, which is the architect.
Just read out the architect. Don't
sorry.
Honey, the tape's running out. Come on.
We've run out of memory sticks.
Exactly. Quick.
We've got the architect, the logician, the commander, the debater, the advocate, the mediator, the protagonist, the campaigner, the logistician, the defender, the executive, the consul, the virtuoso, the adventurer, the entrepreneur, and the entertainer.
Exactly. And then there's a new 17th category, the
Zoho.
which you all are, and which we are like we are the founders of.
We will definitely be knighting people with that individually.
Exactly. So if you are lucky enough, check.
Well, if you listen, you're a Zoho. But...
well, it's all those people who subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us.
Fine.
The gold stars.
Yes.
They will be getting their Zoho
Yes,
accreditation.
You know who you are.
Thanks, Mum.
Our mums didn't.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to say the name. I want you to be quick about it, okay? So, lots of stress, lots of pressure. This is not going to be easy. Okay, ready? Okay, so the first one
How many are there, by the way?
I've got loads, and they're all themed as well, so you're going to love this. Okay, so let's start with Kris Jenner.
Kris Jenner is the
For-
executive.
She is the commander.
Oh,
And what was the fun thing about the commander that we said earlier?
Kelly Rowland.
The Kelly Rowland song.
I'm your commander. Sorry, that was the only lyric I remembered, Kelly. Sorry, your only song.
No, she had When Love Takes Over.
Oh, and she had...
And Work.
Oh, she did. And she had that one with Nelly, where she was
no matter
using
what you do.
Excel to text. Oh.
No wonder that relationship was doomed, honestly.
Oh, God. No wonder it didn't go through. It was an Excel spreadsheet.
But then that gave us the wonderful Girls. Don't remember
Girl.
The Sex and City Destiny. Oh my!
Yes,
I mean, like
Destiny Fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly. That was Destiny Fulfilled. Honestly, right? Okay, so Kris Jenner is the
Commander.
The commander. Kim Kardashian West.
Kim K is gonna be the adventurer.
The protagonist.
She is a protagonist. Yeah.
Christine Quinn from Selling Sunset.
Oh, the no,
I must have your answer now.
No, the entrepreneur.
No, you would think so. She's the executive.
Oh, damn it.
Jennifer Aniston.
She's got to be the virtuoso.
No, she's the campaigner.
This is gonna go very wrong.
That's what I mean. Just be rapid. Don't worry.
Let's
It's fine.
you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, Beyonce.
The entertainer.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
You got one. Nicki Minaj.
The campaigner.
She's the entertainer as well.
Oh.
Now there's a lot of pressure on you to get this next one right.
It's not Pink, is it?
Pink.
Oh man, I didn't know Pink had done this. She's got to be the mediator.
One more try.
She's the virtuoso.
One more try. Third life. Go on.
Oh God, I'm a cat. I have 9. The defender.
She's the entertainer as well.
She
ESFP.
Oh gosh.
Girl, honestly. Lady Gaga.
The entertainer.
No. So she is what's ISFP? Oh, she's the adventurer.
Okay,
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Rihanna.
The entertainer. Okay, the commander. The logician?
Wrong. She's the adventurer as well.
Oh my god. You know what? They have the theme. They're all the same one.
Exactly. Victoria Beckham.
Oh. She ain't gonna be the logistician. She said
This one will surprise you. It begins with C.
The consul.
Yes.
No. Oh, that's sweet.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oh. The debater. The protagonist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm learning.
Well done. You're picking it up. Kim Zolciak.
Kim Zolciak. Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
So we're in the Real Housewives territory now.
I would have said she's not a campaigner, is she?
No. It's one we've mentioned already.
Okay,
Which doesn't help.
All of them?
All of the above.
The entertainer. The adventurer. The advocate. I didn't mention that. You just
No, so it's the logistician.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Practical fact.
Well, if you think about it, she is very much like that, because she's very much like, she got what was that name, Croy, and you know, she's got her brand, she knows her money, she acts like she's dumb but she's not.
Yeah, you know what, and she's also got a nursing degree.
Yeah, there you go.
She was like, just because you strip in a nurse's outfit does not make you a nurse. Have a nursing degree.
Which is exactly what a Zoho would say.
I
love that. So speaking of the great one, Nene Leakes, Lenicia Leakes.
Lenicia, you have to be the entertainer.
Correct. Yes. Well done. Candy Burruss.
Entrepreneur.
Let me just check
ESTP?
my definitions. No.
ISFP, the adventurer.
One more try.
The commander.
No, she's the logician.
She's also what is the logician?
INTP.
Oh, interesting.
Cynthia Bailey.
Who? I'm joking.
From the Cynthia Bailey Fashion Academy, remember?
Some fun shade. The consul. The defender. The advocate.
Yes.
Oh.
Do you know what? Was it because I was looking at that? Maybe my eye was looking at. How did you know that? Was
because I was going through like caring, because she can be warm, quite mystical, quiet, idealistic.
Now, you better,
Oh, please.
Are you ready to get checked? Sheree Whitfield.
Oh my God, where is the best reader in town? She's got to be maybe the debater, the executive.
Yes, correct. But that doesn't make sense for me, because then it's like organized, punctual leader. And like, isn't she like
had no fashion show with no fashion?
Exactly, there's no fashion. And then turning up, late because she had to go to her son's recital in a hoodie.
That she was organized because she knew she was going to be late for that, so that's why she was punctual, and she was a leader.
And then she was a leader because she knew Nene before, when she had the bad teeth. Fix your teeth.
Rotten teeth.
Fix your teeth. I'm rich, bitch. Oh, classic. And then Phaedra Parks.
Oh, my favourite.
Phaedra,
is she a
like,
protagonist?
Yeah. Remind me what the
character. ENFP.
No. This will surprise you. She's one of the other housewife ones.
Is she also the logistician?
Yes, correct. And then the very last one, Tyra Banks.
Oh, this one's going to be a good one.
3 tries and that's all you get.
I think the commander. Wow, I'm surprised. The debater. The entrepreneur.
So it's actually ANTM. I didn't look that one up. I forgot. That just occurred to me just now. So. But I'm sure you're probably right. She's probably one of those.
She's got
isn't
to
she?
be one of those.
Like, Tyra. Like, she probably invented MBTI. And she's like, when she was doing ANTM, she was like, I saw MBTI and I thought this could be the top model. And like, it's so crazy. But anyway, girl, I think, do you know what? It's time for you to take it to the bridge.
So, whether or not MBTI resonates with you, we all say you should practice it safely.
Absolutely. Safe MBTI, kids. Well, anyway, speaking of safe MBTI, I think it's time to head over.
OnlyFans Lounge.
Yay!
So, Bhushan, I think we kind of hinted at this earlier. I just want to talk about putting your MBTI profile on your dating.
Sorry, 1 second. Loser!
Yay or no? I don't think I need to say it.
I just think it's just like, well, in one way, like I said, it can be interesting, because then it's like, oh wow, this is what this person has taken this quiz, and this is the outcome that they got. But by the same token, I'm just kind of like, God, and then like, what's yours? And I don't know. Just like, why don't you actually meet for a coffee and find out, rather than endlessly chatting or ghosting me, or just picking up after like 6 months and being like, oh, hello, how are you? It's like, excuse me. Well, your type didn't say that you were a BITCH, who I should have just not swiped right on. Sorry.
No. I completely agree. It's almost as if people want to cut to the chase instead of asking you the questions that are going to help you understand what their personality is, rather than just getting something that's quite derivative.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I've done it in the past. I remember when I first used to see it, I used to think, oh my God, is this a new STD?
Oh my God.
What is this? I was like, I'm so confused. I was like, do we need to be worried about this? And then I think I just realized that, yes, I had it on there for a while, but it confused people, because a lot of people used to, I mean, you know what? It does sound like a drug. It just sounds really odd. I thought I'd rather have the conversation with someone about who I am, rather than just give them some, inaccurate insight. And if they do put too much reliance on it, will they dismiss me unnecessarily? Will they put too much hope into me? I don't want that. Get to know.
Exactly. It's like, if they're going to say, oh, right, well, this is an executive here or a logician, that's exactly what I need in my life. I need them to do my holiday admin. And then you meet them and they don't know how to do diddly squat. They can't even order a coffee. Do you know what I mean? God. So it'd be crazy.
No, I just remember now. I do remember going on a date with one guy that said, oh, we're the most compatible types together, or whatever. I can't remember what his was. And I remember him talking extensively about Harry Potter and Dungeons and Dragons. Oh. I was like, I think that says a lot about MBTI.
Well, exactly. Well, that sums it up totally, doesn't it?
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't have got that if you put your horoscope on there,
no,
honestly.
Indeed. But what sums it up even more appropriately is...
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. The podcast is mine!
We hope that you've enjoyed listening to The Podcast Is Mine. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast and share it with a friend. You can also follow us on all the socials. On Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, we are The Podcast Is Mine. And then on Twitter, we are Podcast Is Mine. Or you can email us at thepodcastismine@gmail.com. Oh, and one more thing, The Podcast Is Mine.